Inside the violently shaking armored vehicle, Dante Kong and his colleagues sat across from each other in a suffocating atmosphere. A fully armed soldier, face hidden behind a visor, sternly reminded everyone of the strict regulations within this special zone. The warning against provoking the prisoners inside plunged the group into a tense silence. To break the awkwardness, one member of the group took the initiative to introduce himself as a science teacher. Dante Kong replied calmly, confirming that he too was a science teacher, his gaze solemn and composed. Dante Kong and his colleague shook hands. The shared profession eased the awkward atmosphere as others began to chime in. The ethics teacher laughed heartily, while the music teacher took the opportunity to introduce their subject as well. The conversation became more lively as each person revealed their subject, and the initial anxiety gradually faded away. Lao Chen could not hide his astonishment, his eyes fixed on his new colleagues, wondering about the future that awaited them. The convoy of armored vehicles moved deep into the misty region known as the Living Hell Fog Land. A female colleague couldn't help but tremble, trying to reassure herself and the others that this was just a normal international prison. Lao Chen asked skeptically, recounting the chilling legends about the origin of Fogland. The story began 50 years ago when a giant meteorite crashed into the middle of the desert. World powers joined forces to build a high-security prison right on top of that meteorite crater. Rumors of extraterrestrial beings held captive here made the atmosphere inside the vehicle heavy. A researcher once claimed that Fogland was where the gates of hell had been opened. Lao Chen smiled mysteriously, fearing that the students they were about to teach might not even be human. Dante Kong gave a slight smirk. His calm demeanor was in complete contrast to the bewilderment of those around him. Faced with his colleague's superstition, Dante Kong bluntly questioned the authenticity of those rumors. Dante Kong insisted that no matter how notorious this place was, it remained a place where humans lived and they deserved to be educated. Lao Chen still could not believe in Dante Kong's optimism, reiterating the dangerous nature of the prisoners held here. Dante Kong held his ground, arguing that their mistakes were simply due to a lack of proper education. Dante Kong's confidence secretly annoyed Lao Chen, who considered his colleague to be too arrogant. The static of the radio cut through the debate, announcing they were only 5 minutes away from Fogland. The female colleague started in alarm, her eyes widening with anxiety upon hearing the warning from the radio. The static continued, announcing that the first gate of the prison was beginning to open. Dante Kong looked ahead with a determined gaze. He was ready to face the place known as Fogland. As the vehicle entered the interior area, Dante Kong reminded himself that the purpose of his trip was to participate in the education project. A banner welcoming the teachers appeared, but the surrounding atmosphere felt chillingly cold. A ban on filming was issued immediately, and everyone was required to surrender all personal items before entering. A ban on filming, huh? This place is shrouded in a thick layer of fog. Visibility is restricted to such an extent that filming at this moment is almost impossible. Could this be the reason why this place is called Fogland? Dante Kong and his colleagues arrived at the first checkpoint and continued moving forward. A voice rang out to confirm the order. After handing over all personal items, the teachers would be led to their respective classrooms. The order was issued strictly to ensure absolute safety. Lao Chen could not hide his confusion, wondering if this was a form of psychological intimidation. The group quickly moved according to instructions. Short goodbyes were exchanged amidst the tense atmosphere. Firm footsteps imprinted on the ground as they moved deep into the forbidden zone. Dante Kong maintained his composure, reassuring himself that there was nothing to be afraid of. No matter how bizarre the situation, in the end, they are just humans. A classroom, completely isolated by thick, fortified walls, appears before his eyes. Dante Kong stands frozen, staring at this strange scene. Suspicion begins to creep into his mind. Separated by a wall, Dante Kong feels that everything has surpassed the limits of what he can endure. The students can't even see the blackboard. Dante Kong taps lightly on the glass, wondering if this is a specialized type of bulletproof material. The sound of an iron door echoes sharply. A security guard appears, calling out Dante Kong's name. It's time for the prisoners to enter the classroom. Dante Kong receives a stern warning: do not leave this area under any circumstances until the class is over. A heavy iron door slams shut, sealing off the outside world. Dante Kong holds his breath, focusing every sense on what is about to happen. The sound of locks clicking signals the presence of some very special guests. Heavy, mechanized sounds accompany the sluggish sound of footsteps. Darkness shrouds those who have just entered the room. A long line of individuals in prisoner uniforms, chained together, marches in under the surveillance of heavy weaponry. The sound of hurried footsteps makes Dante Kong's heart race. What on earth is going on here? One of the mysterious figures looks up, their eyes emitting a chilling blue light. Another mysterious figure is no different, collapsing onto the desk with a grotesque appearance. Heavy panting fills the air, accompanied by an electromagnetic glow erupting from them. Dante Kang's suspicion reaches its peak. Are these things even human? The question hangs unanswered in the stifling atmosphere of the prison cell. Dante Kang's eyes are filled with shock as he faces his special students. Dante Kang wonders how on earth he is supposed to teach such strange students. The music teacher smiles enigmatically as if he had already anticipated the need to teach these specific individuals. Dante Kang shakes his head violently, trying to reassure himself against the crazy thoughts popping into his mind. Dante Kang clears his throat, preparing to begin the lesson for his students. Dante Kang puts on a polite smile, officially introducing himself as the science teacher. Dante Kang observes the class, curious as to why a subject like science was so highly requested. Dante Kang laughs loudly, joking about whether they intend to build a rocket to break out of prison. Below him, the students maintain their expressionless faces, completely unmoved by Dante Kang's joke. A student with long hair obscuring their face stares unblinkingly at Dante Kang. Dante Kang feels the atmosphere in the classroom become suffocatingly heavy. Dante Kang decides to drop the rocket topic and shift to something more interesting instead. Dante Kang holds up a sweet potato, introducing a lesson on living in harmony with nature. Dante Kang asks the students to observe the sweet potato placed on their desks. The sweet potato sits lonely in a cup of water, waiting to be cared for. Dante Kang explains that this is originally a lesson intended for elementary school students. Dante Kang suspects that these students have never experienced such simple, normal activities. Dante Kang believes that with just a little water and some attention, the sweet potato will begin to sprout. As the sweet potato plant grows, it will teach them to understand the value of life. Dante Kang wonders why people in this land have ended up in his classroom. Dante Kang compared them to sweet potatoes, carrying within them infinite potential for growth. Dante Kang excitedly declared that from now on, they would begin the journey of growing sweet potatoes. A student looked bewildered upon hearing Dante Kang compare them to a sweet potato. The student slammed the table in anger, refusing to accept being called a sweet potato. Dante Kang panicked and explained that he was merely talking about the student's growth potential. A loud, crisp crunching sound echoed, leaving Dante Kang stunned. The student was nonchalantly devouring the sweet potato that Dante Kang had just given him. Dante Kang was left speechless as he watched the sweet potato being eaten. The entire class was eagerly and happily enjoying their raw sweet potatoes. Dante Kang screamed in desperation, trying to stop them from eating all the sweet potatoes since each person only had one. Dante Kang stood frozen in the middle of the empty room, unable to comprehend what was happening. Dante Kang wondered if they had actually volunteered for this class, skepticism written all over his face. A tense atmosphere enveloped the room as Dante Kang faced these strange, unfamiliar faces. The mysterious figure spoke coldly, demanding that Dante Kang end his childish jokes and teach him how to create fog. Dante Kang was stunned by the bizarre request, stuttering the word fog back with a look of utter confusion. Dante Kang suddenly realized that the surrounding environment was filled with fog, and he calmly asked if they wanted to learn about the process of fog formation. The mysterious figure stared straight at Dante Kang, his cold gaze challenging his scientific knowledge. Dante Kang gave a strained smile, clarifying that he was just a science teacher, not a scientist, and wondered if this was a retaliation for his joke. A loud noise erupted as the protective glass shattered right in front of Dante Kang. A brilliant blue electric current burst forth, clouding Dante Kang's vision through the broken glass. The mysterious figure emanated a powerful electrical aura, and deep cracks appeared all around, making the space seem as if it were collapsing. Dante Kang was in a state of extreme panic, shouting in terror at the terrifying power that had just appeared. The mysterious figure remained unfazed, gritting his teeth to emphasize that he wasn't here to play games with Dante Kang. Dante Kang frantically called the control room, reporting that the mysterious figure was attempting to breach the protective glass. A loud bang resounded from the door, and Dante Kang was horrified to realize that the supposedly bulletproof glass had become useless. A brutal order was issued. Omega Protocol was officially activated. Rapid footsteps echoed as an armed SWAT entered, weapons ready to fire. Dante Kang looked bewildered upon hearing the order to get down, failing to understand what was unfolding. A cold command rang out in the air, ordering the elimination of all targets without exception. A hail of bullets tore through the air, and those around him fell under the intense barrage. Gunfire rang out incessantly. Dante Kang clutched his head in fear, witnessing the carnage before his very eyes. Cracks spread across the glass surface under the pressure of the continuous barrage of gunfire. Dante Kang screamed in despair, trying to stop the massacre, but it was already too late. The system replied with a ruthless command, ordering Dante Kang to wait patiently until all targets were eliminated. Dante Kang asked in shock, unable to believe what he had just heard while the sound of gunfire continued. Dante Kang cried out in agony, unable to accept the cruel acts taking place right in front of him. Dante Kang shouted in indignation, asking why people who couldn't even see anything had to face such a fate. The brutality reached its peak when the soldier executed a creaking sound echoes through the silence, jolting Dante Kong from his state of unconsciousness. In the corner, the mysterious hooded figure sits huddled, exuding an ominous and threatening aura. Dante Kong snaps awake, his eyes wide with shock as he realizes he is lying in a strange room. The mysterious hooded figure remains seated, silent as a ghost within the cramped confinement of the cell. A soft rustling sound startles Dante Kong, tension mounting with every breath he takes. Dante Kong turns to look at the mysterious hooded figure, struggling to maintain his composure in this precarious situation. The cold gaze of the mysterious hooded figure pierces through Dante Kong, creating a suffocating pressure. Unable to contain his bewilderment, Dante Kong speaks up, questioning the mysterious hooded figure to find answers. Dante Kong turns around, astonishment etched on his face as he confronts the harsh reality. Before Dante Kong lies nothing but a dilapidated cell. The brutal truth leaves him speechless. Dante Kong's eyes scan the room, from the decrepit ceiling fan to the rusted iron bars of the window. Silence prevails, and Dante Kong still cannot believe what he is witnessing. Dante Kong bolts upright in a panic when the mysterious hooded figure nonchalantly claims this place as his home. Faced with the terrifying calmness of the mysterious hooded figure, Dante Kong shouts, demanding to know the other's identity. Seeing the prison uniform, Dante Kong is horrified to realize he is imprisoned alongside the mysterious hooded figure. Memories of a bloody riot begin to flood Dante Kong's mind, sending shivers down his spine. Dante Kong recalls the execution orders given by the guards, but the truth behind them is far more brutal. Instead of carrying out their duties, the guards themselves became victims in the massacre. Horrifying images of brutality surface, evidence of a destructive power present within the cell. Dante Kong collapses, a sense of helplessness washing over him as he faces this grim reality. Dante Kong stands up, confronting the mysterious hooded figure directly in an atmosphere of extreme tension. When Dante Kong cautiously asks about their location, the mysterious hooded figure merely nods in confirmation. Dante Kong continues to probe about the fog region, and the mysterious hooded figure maintains his silent, nodding posture. Dante Kong finally asks the most critical question, and the mysterious hooded figure speaks up to admit it. Facing Dante Kong's questions of why, the mysterious hooded figure remains cloaked in his enigmatic and authoritative silence. The mysterious hooded figure pulls out a sweet potato, unexpectedly asking Dante Kong to teach him how to farm. In the suffocating space, Dante Kong is stunned by the bizarre request from the mysterious hooded figure. Dante Kong is left speechless. The absurdity of the situation causes him to completely break down. Dante Kong trembles, unable to believe the madness the mysterious hooded figure is forcing him to accept. Dante Kong cannot believe his eyes. He challenges the mysterious hooded figure on the insanity of dragging him into this prison cell over a worthless sweet potato. Dante Kong panics, realizing he is in a life-or-death situation. The warning from his old ethics teacher suddenly echoes in his mind. The people in this place are not human at all. The horrifying memory of those madmen tearing a man apart with their bare hands makes Dante Kong tremble. He feels death closing in on him. Amidst the panic, Dante Kong's eyes lock onto the right hand of the mysterious hooded figure, where something is being concealed. Dante Kong holds his breath, guessing whether it's a gun or a sharp blade waiting to end his life. Refusing to be passive, Dante Kong screams in fury and lunges straight at the mysterious hooded figure. A powerful collision occurs, and Dante Kong uses all his strength to pin the mysterious hooded figure to the floor. The mysterious hooded figure loses his footing and falls backward under Dante Kong's weight. Dante Kong grips the wrist of the mysterious hooded figure tightly, determined to strip away that dangerous weapon. Dante Kong gasps for air, unable to believe he has subdued the mysterious hooded figure. The figure is far weaker than anyone else he has encountered here. As the mysterious hooded figure lies there, Dante Kong suddenly realizes he never even noticed this person in his classes before. Dante Kong focuses intensely, deciding to grab the weapon from the mysterious masked figure's right hand. The masked figure's arm swings in a strange, unnatural way. Dante Kong is stunned as he realizes the horrifying truth. The masked figure's arm had been missing for a long time. The masked figure gently pulls their arm back, a sigh of relief escaping them. The masked figure apologizes for the previous outburst of violence but still maintains an enigmatic demeanor. Dante Kong adjusts his collar, angrily criticizing the masked figure's stupidity for putting them both in danger by kidnapping someone right inside the prison. The masked figure stares straight at Dante Kong, retorting with a question about his sudden interest in learning to grow sweet potatoes. Dante Kong is agitated. He has no intention of teaching brainless fools. The masked figure responds nonchalantly, suggesting that Dante Kong should eat sweet potatoes for extra nutrition before declaring they are leaving. Dante Kong heads toward the door, questioning the guard schedules and mealtimes, determined to find a way out. Peering through the gap in the door, Dante Kong guesses the prison must be on high alert after the chaos, and security forces are surely hunting for him. A look of sheer astonishment crosses Dante Kang's face as he sees something through the crack in the door. A thick, dense fog envelopes the area, making it impossible for Dante Kang to see anything outside. Dante Kang grabs the door handle, shouting for whoever is on the other side. The door suddenly shifts, opening to reveal a blinding ray of light. Dante Kang is stunned to find that the door has actually opened. Dante Kang is horrified, his eyes widening in terror behind his round glasses. Before Dante Kang lies not a prison but an endless desolate wasteland. Dante Kang collapses onto the ruins, his mind reeling at this absurd reality. Dante Kang screams in despair, unable to accept that this hellhole is the prison he was thrown into. Suddenly, a rough hand clamps over Dante Kang's mouth, cutting off his panic. A cold command rings out, completely suppressing Dante Kang's resistance. The masked figure leans in close, warning Dante Kang against making unnecessary noise. The masked figure growls, crushing any remaining hope of escape for Dante Kang. Dante Kang stares in shock at the ruins, unable to believe the brutal reality before him. Dante Kang struggles to fight back, yelling that he is an innocent citizen and does not belong in this place. The arrival of shoulders makes the atmosphere heavy and stifling. Dante Kang is completely overwhelmed. Dante Kang trembles, tears streaming down his face as he faces his captor. Shoulders' heavy, raspy breathing echoes, each breath hitting like a shockwave. Shoulders' eyes gaze downward, filled with an unconcealable brutality. Dante Kang trembles as he tries to explain that he had no intention of provoking Shoulders. Dante Kang recklessly blurts out a provocation toward the masked figure, his fear turning into madness. Shoulders swings a fist, the air tearing under the sheer force of the blow. A direct punch from Shoulders strikes Dante Kang, sending blood spraying into the air. Dante Kang collapses to the floor, gasping for air, his glasses shattered beside him. The masked figure coldly watches the gasping Dante Kang, reminding him of the consequences of being noisy. The masked figure blames Dante Kang for causing him to lose his clothes. Dante Kang screams in pain, questioning the insanity of the masked figure. The masked figure replies with disdain, pointing out Dante Kang's weakness. The masked figure stands up, his shadow looming over the cowering Dante Kang. The mysterious masked man zips up the prisoner's uniform, preparing for his next move. Dante Kang is in a panic, unable to grasp the insane intentions of the masked man. As the prisoner's uniform falls, the masked man forces Dante Kang to face his choice. Dante Kang stares blankly at the uniform thrown his way by the masked man. The masked man commands Dante Kang to put on the uniform. Dante Kang is stunned, left speechless by this ironic and twisted situation. Dante Kang is shocked by Shoulders' muscular, scar-covered physique, wondering if this is even real. Dante Kang awkwardly changes into the prisoner's uniform, keeping his guard up against the masked man standing right beside him. Dante Kang worries that if he wears this uniform, the rescue team will never find him in this prison. The masked man coldly replies, asserting that no one is coming to save Dante Kang because Shoulders has already disposed of them all. The masked man warns Dante Kang that the best way to survive in Fogland is to never try to stand out from the other prisoners. The sound of a zipper echoes as the masked man orders Dante Kang to prepare for a meal. The masked man appears, ready for the meal. Dante Kang looks in disbelief at the prisoner's uniform on his body, wondering if it's already time to eat. Dante Kang stands paralyzed, realizing the dire situation closing in on him. The masked man and Dante Kang head toward the door, where a glimmer of hope for meeting the guards begins to spark. The scene of Fogland is shrouded in a hazy mist where strange sounds echo throughout. In the silent, desolate prison area, the masked man is enjoying his sense of freedom. The masked man takes pleasure in admiring the outfit he just robbed, feeling it fits him as if it were custom-made. The masked man feels regret remembering Dante Kang's glasses, wishing he had taken those as well. The masked man calls out with sarcasm, drawing attention to Dante Kang, who is wearing the old prisoner's uniform. The masked man curiously asks about the origin of the outfit Dante Kang is wearing. The masked man is startled and terrified by the sudden appearance of Shoulders. Shoulders appears with his sword in hand, completely overwhelming the prisoners kneeling at his feet. The masked man tremblingly bows to Shoulders, the ruler of this territory. The masked man hastily reports to Shoulders about seeing a bespectacled man in Tofu village, someone who looked very new. Shoulders mulls over the information about the newcomer that the masked man just found. The masked man excitedly boasts about his achievement of stealing the cool outfit from Dante Kang. Immediately, Shoulders' cold blade pierces through the head of the masked man, ending his chatter for good. Repeated, merciless stabs from Shoulders send blood splattering everywhere. The masked man collapses into a pool of blood, his life ended by Shoulders' brutality. Shoulders rises, his eyes filled with murderous intent, having finally caught the trail of Dante Kang. A savage smile spreads across Shoulders' lips, the hunt for Dante Kang has officially begun. A bleak concrete forest emerges, where prisoners in orange uniforms are screaming in madness. Their pale skin blends into the desolate landscape, turning this place into a lethal natural camouflage zone. In the shadows, the eyes of famished predators glow with a bloodthirsty craving. Dante-Kong looks around in shock, failing to understand what is happening to the people surrounding him. Dante-Kong shudders, questioning whether these creatures are human or merely wild beasts. A black crow with strange blue eyes perches silently, observing it all. In the land of fog, corpses wrapped tightly in barbed wire hang suspended like a warning. This horrific scene is far cry from anything Dante-Kong had ever imagined about a prison. Looking down from above, the crowded rows of buildings shrouded in mist create a suffocating labyrinth. Unable to suppress his bewilderment, Dante-Kong turns to the person beside him and questions where they are standing. Dante-Kong insists that everything here is wrong, from the prisoners walking freely to the drunks on the street. Dante-Kong points toward the hanging corpses, asserting that they definitely aren't mannequins. Dante-Kong yells out in frustration. He cannot believe that this place is left completely unmanaged. The person next to him whispers, reminding Dante-Kong to lower his voice because he is being too loud. Dante-Kong wonders if he is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome for actually trusting this kidnapper. The kidnapper's gaze is no different from the madman outside, a true, imminent threat. Dante-Kong tells himself that this individual is a danger that cannot be underestimated. Dante-Kong gulps, determined not to place his trust in anyone in this hellish place. The group heads toward the cafeteria, welcomed by the haunting name Chow Hall. Inside, the whispering and murmuring of countless prisoners create a chaotic atmosphere. The constant clatter of dishes echoes as everyone rushes to eat in tension. Dante-Kong is surprised to find that the cafeteria doesn't look as bad as he had imagined. They even line up in an orderly fashion, waiting for their turn to get food. Dante-Kong watches closely, beginning to notice something abnormal about how the place operates. Dante-Kong's eyes widen as he suddenly discovers a crucial truth. A police cap with a distinct emblem appears, confirming the presence of prison authorities. Dante-Kong is stunned to see a prison guard sitting there, maintaining order. Dante-Kong exclaims in relief, believing that he has finally been saved thanks to the appearance of this officer. Dante-Kong tells himself to stay calm. He knows he needs to act like an ordinary prisoner right now. Dante-Kong must prove he is not like the others, and his priority now is getting a delicious piece of ham. The opportunity finally arrives. Dante-Kong cannot let this moment slip away. Dante-Kong approaches the guard, trying to keep his voice as calm as possible. Dante-Kong slowly explains his true identity within this prison. Dante-Kong states his name clearly, trying to build trust with the other person. Dante-Kong whispers the story of how he was kidnapped by the masked man sitting right next to him. Dante-Kong emphasizes that his superiors must be hunting for the target, and that is him. But in response to Dante-Kong's plea, the guard only stands still with a blank expression and drool dripping down. Dante-Kong is stunned, his eyes constricting as he realizes something is wrong. The guard keeps staring into space, having completely lost all consciousness. Dante-Kong anxiously asks about the condition of the guard standing before him. The prison guard didn't answer, he simply used his soup ladle to strike the table in front of Dante-Kong, radiating a threatening aura. The dull, unappetizing food tray was pushed out, and Dante-Kong stared at it with a look of utter boredom. Dante-Kong looked around, bewildered, completely unable to grasp what was actually happening. Dante-Kong wondered if that person was truly a prison guard or just an imposter. Dante-Kong observed the ranks of inmates, noticing that everything felt incredibly strange. Dante-Kong questioned where the real prison guards had all gone. Dante-Kong realized that he had fallen into an extremely dire situation. Dante-Kong burst into tears, feeling as though the future in this prison was bleak. Dante-Kong recalled the warning the person had once given him. The inmate sitting next to Dante-Kong calmly enjoyed the piece of meat on his tray. Dante-Kong decided to strike up a conversation with the inmate to find a way to survive. Dante-Kong offered to teach the inmate how to grow sweet potatoes in exchange for his help. Dante-Kong flashed a meaningful smile, laying out his proposal for a trade. Dante-Kong demanded that the inmate help him escape from this place. Dante-Kong exploited the inmate's gullibility to achieve his own goal. Dante-Kong followed up, asking for confirmation that the deal had been accepted. The inmate looked skeptical, unable to believe that Dante-Kong would go through all this trouble just for a sweet potato. Dante-Kong hurriedly explained, desperately trying to turn the situation around. The inmate eyed Dante-Kong critically, waiting for a more convincing answer. The inmate set a harsh condition if Dante-Kong really wanted to make it out alive. Dante-Kong was stunned by the title Supreme Leader that had just been mentioned. He wondered if he truly had to shoulder the burden of leading this place. Given Dante-Kong's naivety, the man opposite him mocked him for not being fit to lead, even though Dante-Kong had no interest in the position himself. Dante-Kong suddenly realized a harsh truth: becoming the boss of this prison block might be the only way he could reach out to the outside world. The man held his fork high like a cold declaration, asserting that in this place there were only two paths: rise to the top or crumble. Dante-kun was still shaken. He pressed for the true meaning behind those words, but the other man immediately cut him off, forbidding any further questions. In the tense atmosphere, the man continued eating calmly, ignoring Dante Kang's desperate attempt to seek help. Dante Kang clenched his hands on the table. His patience was clearly wearing thin due to the man's attitude. Dante Kang declared bluntly that he had no reason to stay here and would leave this wretched place immediately. Faced with Dante Kang's resolute stance, the man warned him that he would regret it, threatening him with the brutal punishments that awaited him. Dante Kang turned and walked away, ignoring all threats, until a loud call from behind made him stop in his tracks. Dante Kang froze, his eyes widening in astonishment as he heard a familiar name called out in the middle of the cafeteria. Amidst the murmuring inmates, a group of strangers suddenly appeared, drawing the gaze of everyone present. Dante Kang sighed in relief, convinced that the help he had been waiting for had finally arrived. The other inmates also noticed the arrival of the group, and the shout of "over here" echoed throughout the chaotic cafeteria. Dante Kang did not hesitate. He immediately lunged toward the group of newcomers in hopes of finding his own way out. The strange man introduced himself as Dante Kang, a science teacher, leaving Dante Kang filled with surprise. Dante Kang shouted in excitement, believing that Dante Kang was the very person he had been searching for. Dante Kang's eyes scanned the prisoner numbers carved into the bodies of the figures standing imposingly before him. A massive, overwhelming shadow loomed over Dante Kang, making the surrounding air thick with fear. A close-up of Dante Kang's sinister grin emerged, sending a chill down Dante Kang's spine. Dante Kang froze, his face turning pale as he realized the true identity of the person standing before him. Dante Kang leaned in, whispering a haunting greeting right into Dante Kang's ear. He evoked the nightmarish memories of the sweet potato class, causing Dante Kang to recoil in utter panic. Dante Kang could only gasp in horror. All his hopes for help had just vanished into thin air. Dante Kang had never seen anyone as colossally tall as Dante Kang. He sat there like an insurmountable fortress wall. A whisper echoed about the title "The Shoulder," signaling the arrival of a terrifying and powerful entity. The surrounding prisoners began to stir, panic spreading rapidly as they realized the most dreaded figure was approaching. Dante Kang trembled as he realized Dante Kang was one of the infamous Six Shoulders ruling over this place. The member of the Six Shoulders of Zone O revealed himself with a twisted smile, Dante Kang's shadow engulfing the entire cafeteria. Horrifying memories flooded Dante Kang's mind, forcing him to face his enemy in absolute despair. Dante Kang stood amidst the prisoners, his slightly disheveled black hair obscuring his gaze, while his prison uniform numbered 0 to 182 highlighted his composure in the face of extreme tension. A barrage of gunfire tore through the dungeon space, the deafening sound of continuous shots signaling the start of a purge. Blood splattered right before his eyes, a gory end for those who couldn't dodge the hail of bullets. Amidst the chaos, the perpetrator emerged, his eyes filled with murderous intent, ready for the slaughter. The attacker sneered, mocking the injustice of someone carrying a rifle despite being thoroughly searched. No longer holding back, the attacker declared he would retaliate by playing as dirty as the situation demanded. In a terrifying moment, a sharp blade flashed, severing every remaining glimmer of hope. The attacker performed an unthinkable act, a brutal move that left everyone around in total shock. With a single, decisive stroke, everyone blocking his path collapsed at the attacker's feet. Dante Kang slumped to the floor, his legs drained of strength after witnessing the horrific scene that had just unfolded. Trembling in fear, Dante Kang uttered a desperate question as to why he was being targeted. The figure standing above him coldly replied that he was merely continuing his lesson. Dante Kang was stunned to hear the attacker declare that he was skipping the trivialities to begin the main lesson. With a manic grin, the attacker unleashed a deadly mist, officially kicking off the cruel game. Dante remained calm, as if everything was under his complete control. Without a moment's hesitation, Dante bluntly rejected the mediocre proposals to get straight to the point. A twisted smile crept across Shoulder's face as something emitting a mysterious blue light rested right in his palm. Whispers began to spread through the crowd, those soulless eyes were now fixated solely on that strange mist. Dante stood stunned, his eyes wide with astonishment at the massive size of those energy spheres. Losing his patience, Shoulders growled and demanded that Dante reveal the secret to creating this mist immediately. The blue spheres radiated a freezing chill. What they called the mist was manifesting right before their eyes. Dante was completely bewildered. He had absolutely no idea about the power he was holding. Suspicion erupted, and the crowd began to lose control, turning on Dante with aggressive accusations. Dante panicked and tried to explain, insisting that this thing did not belong to the outside world he once knew. Shoulder's gaze turned ice cold as he revealed that it was precisely because of this unique trait that Dante had been targeted. Dante was horrified to realize he had fallen into a trap set by Shoulders from the very beginning. Before Dante could even react, a rough hand reached out from Shoulder's side and snatched the target. The mist was forcibly seized right before Dante's eyes, serving as a prelude to the tragedy that was about to unfold. Dante watched in horror as his source of power was usurped by Shoulders. A cracking sound echoed as the blue sphere shattered under immense pressure. The surrounding crowd began to descend into madness, their vacant, white eyes staring intensely at what had just fallen. Overcome with terror, Dante tried to push away those rushing in to claim the prize. Glowing shards scattered across the floor, signaling the beginning of the chaos. The eyes of those around him turned bloodthirsty, they looked at that energy like famished beasts. Madness consumed them, they could no longer maintain their sanity in the face of such a lucrative temptation. Screams filled the entire room as the crowd lunged at each other like a pack of demons. Dante watched the chaotic scene in shock, unable to believe what was happening before his eyes. A brutal struggle broke out, with the sounds of impact and wailing drowning out everything else. Shoulders smiled triumphantly, watching Dante trapped in the fury he had just ignited. To Shoulders, this mist was no different from gold or silver, a divine gift from the gods. Outrage reached its peak as the crowd screamed to reclaim what had been swallowed up. The one who had swallowed the mist stood frozen, and an eerie silence descended upon him. No longer able to keep their cool, those nearby began to tear at the other person to seize a piece of the energy. Blood splattered the floor, a brutal end for anyone greedy enough to claim power that didn't belong to them. Dante collapsed into a pool of blood, his breath shallow, yet a strange smile remained on his lips. Those around him looked at Dante with disdain, mocking his weakness in this hellish pit. They whispered about the deadly mist, believing it would grant Dante power if he were willing to absorb more. Dante gritted his teeth, ghostly blue light leaking from his bleeding mouth as he struggled to resist. The sound of his teeth chattering echoed incessantly. Dante was enduring absolute torture. Unable to bear it any longer, Dante vomited out a strange liquid, signaling the total collapse of his willpower. In the depths of excruciating pain, Dante had only one desire: to leave this horrific place and go home. Dante fell to the floor, pleading in despair, but those around him continued to watch with cold indifference. Dante panicked and denied it all, insisting he knew nothing about this twisted power. With trembling hands, he screamed that he was just a regular teacher, not the mad scientist they imagined him to be. Shoulders sneered. He didn't believe Dante's excuses and remained convinced that he was the one who created the banned substance. Dante wailed in helplessness, emphasizing that he didn't possess any advanced academic degrees. The room fell into a terrifying silence as Dante knelt amidst a circle of brutal prison guards. Shoulders looked at Dante with disgust, spewing judgment about his uselessness. Dante stood frozen, tears streaming down his face as he realized his efforts meant nothing to them. A sharp blade swung through the air, aimed directly at Dante. The blade struck, leaving a painful, indelible scar on Dante's mind. Shoulders raised the blade high, looking at Dante like a broken toy, ready to finish off the useless wretch. Dante's teaching certificate was tossed aside, fluttering through the air like an insult. As the certificate was thrown about, Dante lowered his head, enduring the harshest of insults. Dante's family, those powerful phantoms, forced him to pursue a noble academic path instead of his mediocre dream. They pressured Dante, viewing his profession as a teacher as an indelible stain on their family name. Dante begged his parents to stop, but their love had been completely overshadowed by fame. They continued to mock Dante, labeling his failure to obtain a doctorate a source of humiliation. Dante reminisced about his famous scholar father, who always stood on the podium in a glow of glory. His mother, a prestigious law professor, was also part of the immense pressure weighing on Dante's shoulders. Even his older brother had become the president of the Psychology Association, leaving Dante feeling even more alienated. Although Dante took pride in his teaching job, where he earned respect from his students. When returning home, Dante was treated poorly, regarded by his family like a stray animal. Family dinner became a form of mental torture, where Dante always had to bow his head before those who bore the title of kin. The International Penalty Committee, that name invoked a sense of dread. Shoulders frowned at the menu, his tone filled with suspicion. Dante calmly explained his teaching position at a UN-run prison, which promised attractive benefits. Shoulders immediately recognized it, the Mist Zone, where freaks from all over the world were held captive. Dante's face hardened, and he corrected him immediately. They were human beings, not monsters. Shoulders spoke up, skeptical of Dante's decision to leave a stable school job. Shoulders maintained his cold demeanor, questioning the true motive behind this baffling action. Dante hung his head, Shoulders' suspicion cut into his self-esteem like a knife. Dante looked up, his gaze steady. He wanted to provide an opportunity to those who had never received a proper education. To Dante, it wasn't just a job, it was the most meaningful act an educator could perform. A scoff echoed from Shoulders. Dante was stunned to see the sinister smirk on his face. Shoulders nonchalantly wiped the spilled wine from his shirt, mocking Dante's ridiculous sense of determination. Shoulders growled, exposing Dante's true face. He claimed Dante had no real passion at all. Shoulders continued to peel back the truth, suggesting that Dante was merely running away from his academic failure by deluding himself. Shoulders concluded that Dante was only trying to compensate for his incompetence by choosing a different path to elevate his status. Dante clenched his fists, his eyes blazing. He demanded to know how Shoulders dared to question his motives. Shoulders maintained his condescending attitude, dismissing Dante's actions as the recklessness of an insecure man. Shoulders compared Dante's stupidity to an undeniable piece of evidence. Dante screamed in agony, realizing he had been too naive. That decision was now pushing Dante to the edge between life and death. Surrounded by a pack of lunatics, Dante realizes the tragic end that awaits him. In this rotting living hell, Dante finds himself truly pathetic. The only one responsible for all of this is none other than Dante himself. A sharp, cold fork is gripped tightly by Dante, preparing for a desperate counterattack. Dante's lethal strike tears through the air, plunging straight into his target. The fork impales the opponent's body, and fresh blood splatters instantly. The violent collision sends the opponent slamming headfirst into the wall, collapsing in agony. Dante falls, his prison uniform stained red, accompanied by the dry sound of metal clashing. Terrified screams echo through the room. The opponent cannot believe what just happened. Amidst the chaos, those nearby panic uncontrollably as they realize someone has brought a weapon in here. Dante lands a critical blow, launching himself into the air to deliver a thunderous, powerful kick. Shoulders' eyes roll back, his vacant stare filled with horror at the cruel reality. Dante's face is drenched in blood, his eyes behind round-rimmed glasses revealing sheer shock at the turn of events spinning out of control. Shoulders retaliates with terrifying speed, rushing forward like a dark whirlwind of killing intent to finish his battle with Dante. Shoulders delivers the finishing blow, landing a brutal strike on his opponent. Shoulders' eyes flare with intensity, exuding the cold-blooded nature of a predator. Dante Kong is left in shock, his face covered in blood, unable to believe what is unfolding. Shoulders charges forward like a cyclone, giving his opponent no chance to retaliate. A powerful kick from Shoulders sweeps away the prisoners surrounding him. The dry sound of bones snapping echoes as a hapless victim collapses at Shoulders' feet. The opponent's spine shatters under Shoulders' overwhelming power. Shoulders glides away, leaving behind a scene of ruin and defeated foes. Strawberry syrup is splattered everywhere, and an arm is torn apart amidst the bloody battlefield. The surrounding prisoners tremble, their eyes revealing pure terror at Shoulders' strength. Amidst the ruins, the named tower is whispered like a curse. The great tower collapses, dragging the despair of those trapped within along with it. A roar echoes through the air. The collapse of the great tower has become reality. Dante Kong sits slumped on the ground, his eyes vacant amidst the chaos. Shoulders stands tall, a new status established following the battle. The crowd surges forward, with cheers resounding throughout the prison. Prisoners surround Shoulders, eager to learn the identity of the powerhouse who just emerged. Shoulders coldly looks at Dante Kong, ordering him to follow. Dante Kong hurriedly chases after Shoulders, fleeing the dangerous area. Dante Kong trembles, unable to believe he is still alive. Dante Kong looks at Shoulders in astonishment, still reeling from the recent events. Shoulders maintains a calm expression, asserting his power. Shoulders questions Dante Kong about the truth behind the rumors. Dante Kong is bewildered, not understanding why Shoulders is asking about his class. Shoulders pressures Dante Kong, wanting to know if he possesses any special abilities. Dante Kong panics, desperately begging Shoulders to spare his life. Dante Kong confesses he only came for the new clothes, with absolutely no other intentions. Shoulders ponders, reflecting on the path he has traveled. Shoulders walks away, leaving Dante Kong in confusion. Shoulders orders the person blocking his way to get out of the path immediately. Deep inside the prison, an aggressive inmate points at Shoulders, growling and demanding that he get in line properly. The crowd of prisoners is lined up, whispering and gossiping about the highly competitive rehabilitation program about to take place. Shoulders coldly refuses, while the inmate continues to nag about the need to be well-dressed to impress the instructor. Shoulders glides through the crowd like a gust of wind, indifferent to the excitement of those around him regarding this rare prison event. Shoulders' eyes flash with a mysterious spark, as if he is calculating a plan far beyond those trivial teachings. Dante Kong, filled with doubt, stares at Shoulders with a blood-smeared face, questioning the real motive behind Shoulders' act of saving him. Shoulders responds without hesitation, bluntly stating that he only cares about his new clothes. Dante Kong is shocked by the response, unable to believe his ears when he hears Shoulders bring up how he dirted that outfit. Shoulders points at the stain on the orange prison uniform, his gaze filled with irritation toward Dante Kong. While another prisoner runs away from the shower room in a panic, Shoulders stands there calmly, completely overwhelming Dante Kong. Dante Kong looks at the number tag on his chest, telling himself that no matter what, he must find a way to manage. Dante Kong diligently scrubs Shoulders' clothes with a water hose. A reluctant, unspoken agreement has been established between the two. Dante Kong curiously asks why Shoulders keeps the old, tattered clothes despite having new ones. Shoulders points at the tattered clothes, insisting they are also his, leaving Dante Kong stunned. Dante Kong still cannot comprehend it. He wonders why Shoulders would keep such filthy things instead of throwing them away. Shoulders coldly points to the number 182 on the clothes, definitively asserting his ownership over them. Dante Kong looks at the remaining piece of clothing, noticing the number 182 also appears on it, and he begins to understand the situation. Shoulders insists that both sets of clothes belong to him, leaving Dante Kong in a state of confusion and disbelief. Dante Kong sighs, deciding to help Shoulders wash that set of clothes instead of continuing the pointless argument. Shoulders and Dante Kong sit together, busy with their laundry in the bathroom, creating a bizarre scene in this hellish place. Outside, the dark night sky blankets the prison area, signaling a long night filled with restless variables. The prisoners' clothes are hung up, water dripping endlessly onto the floor, creating a monotonous sound in the silent darkness. Dante Kong looks at his watch, realizing it is past midnight, and he cannot believe he has been trapped in this place for an entire long day. Anxiety is visible on Dante Kong's face as he thinks about the monsters called the Shoulders hunting him down. Gnawing hunger makes Dante Kong regret skipping dinner. He knows he must find a way to survive before tomorrow comes. In the darkness, Dante Kong steals a glance at Shoulders, who is resting, and suddenly notices something strange. A tiny sweet potato unexpectedly appears, making Dante Kong's eyes light up with desire amidst his hunger. Dante Kong stealthily reaches out to grab the potato, while Shoulders lies motionless as if he is unaware of what is happening. Dante Kong tells himself that even if he has to scavenge for scraps, staying alive is his top priority. Just as Dante Kong touches it, the potato is suddenly snatched away by someone, leaving him completely shocked. Shoulders is suddenly hanging upside down from the ceiling, his cold gaze locked onto Dante Kong. Shoulders growls a threat, almost ending Dante Kong right there. Dante Kong is still shaken, but his starving stomach forces him to take a risk and ask Shoulders for a piece of the potato. The plea is flatly rejected. Shoulders keeps his eyes fixed on the potato, determined to keep it. Shoulders clutches the potato tightly, his eyes burning with possessiveness. To Shoulders, this is an inviolable possession. Dante Kong cannot believe his eyes. He mocks Shoulders' naivety for wanting to grow a potato in such dire circumstances. Shoulders ignores all the sarcasm, carefully blowing dust off the potato. Dante Kong can only shake his head in exasperation at Shoulders' stubbornness. The mysterious figure appears with an enigmatic air, asking Dante Kong to close his eyes. He considers hiding the potato an important ritual. Dante Kong squints as he watches, thinking to himself that the mysterious figure's primitive nature is exactly what he can exploit. Dante Kong launches a psychological attack, asking whether the potato is still alive or if it has long since dried out. The mysterious figure freezes, his glowing eyes revealing extreme confusion at the threat regarding the potato's life. Dante Kong coldly points to the scar on the potato, claiming that the figure's act of carving a number into it has destroyed it. Dante Kong adds more pressure, declaring that the potato is suffering from an illness due to the figure's ignorance. The mysterious figure trembles upon hearing about the deadly disease called browning. He falls completely into Dante Kong's psychological trap. Dante Kong observes carefully, noticing the panic clearly visible in the mysterious figure's blue eyes. The mysterious figure has not lost hope, persistently asking how to cure his treasure. Dante Kong feigns hesitation, using the excuse that their agreement was broken to refuse sharing information with the figure. Finally, Dante Kong agrees to reveal the only condition to save the potato: sunlight. Dante Kong explains that this fog-covered region is too dense, blocking out all the necessary sunlight. Dante Kong proposes a location with less fog, leading the mysterious figure into his plan. Dante Kong rejects the figure's idea, asserting that the place is still not dry enough to air out their clothes. Dante Kong seriously sets his final destination, the area near the entrance gate. The gate to the foggy land looms ahead, holding the secrets that Dante Kong is searching for. The scene shifts to a dark, hidden corner where preparations for a clash are silently underway. A prisoner is busy repairing a metal structure, the sound of hammer strikes ringing steadily through the quiet space. The prisoner asks about the recovery time, while the injured man sits there with his neck reinforced by an iron frame. The leader berates his subordinate for failing to find the desired doctor, even though he had hired the best architect. The leader screams in pain and fury, unable to comprehend how he ended up in such a miserable situation. The leader prides himself on the spinal strength accumulated from the mist, which is tougher than reinforced steel. But then, the leader recalls the horrific moment when that sturdy neckbone was shattered by Shoulders in a single blow. Now, his rage turns toward Shoulders. The leader vows to track him down for stealing his mist. The mysterious figure looks at Shoulders with crazed eyes, sneering, "So, you finally found the teacher, haven't you?" Shoulders appears silently, radiating a murderous aura that seems to freeze the surrounding space. Witnessing Shoulders' arrival, the mysterious figure growls in panic. Since when did you get here? And the rumors about your neck being crushed turned out to be true. The mysterious figure looks at Shoulders with disdain. You haven't changed a bit, still sneaking into my base. I thought we had an alliance, so share the information about the teacher with me. In response, the mysterious figure laughs arrogantly. Nonsense. I am the one who will become the supreme leader, not Shoulders. Dante Kong suddenly appears, grabbing and disarming the weapon from the mysterious figure's hand with a bored expression. Shoulders doesn't let the mysterious figure react. He closes the distance, grips the figure's neck tightly, and coldly declares, "That's exactly the problem. With your abilities, you're dreaming way too big." The mysterious figure struggles in desperation, stammering a plea. Wait, hold on. You wouldn't attack someone who was already injured, right? Shoulders' eyes flare with lethal intent as he grits out each word. Do you know what I want to do when I see people who are too ambitious? With cruelty etched on his face, Shoulders continues, it just makes me want to crush them. Without a moment's hesitation, Shoulders delivers a brutal finishing blow to the mysterious figure, ending all resistance. The scene is desolate, splattered with strawberry syrup-like blood, as prisoners lie slumped and motionless on the cold, hard ground. A prisoner with intricate, sprawling tattoos covering his arms walks silently past the scattered bodies. A group of prisoners gathers, and the spiky-haired prisoner barks a brief command for the team to move out. The spiky-haired prisoner dons his cloak and loudly declares their next destination, Tofu Village. Engines roar to life as the team speeds off, tearing through the ruins of the city. The road is deserted, blocked only by piles of shattered concrete debris. Dante Kong pants heavily, wondering about the heavy bag on Mr. 182's shoulder and the mysterious 182 inscription. Dante Kong hesitantly asks Mr. 182 for his name, only to receive a blunt reply, one arm. Dante Kong can't believe his ears, dismissing the name as nothing more than a meaningless joke. Dante Kong firmly insists on calling him Mr. 182, finding the other name far too impolite. Dante Kong continues to pester him about the bizarre paper bag over Mr. 182's head, wondering if he's a thief. Dante Kong speculates about Mr. 182's identity, curious about how he managed to reach the fog zone. Mr. 182 replies curtly that he has always been here, a cryptic response full of hidden meaning. Dante Kong stands stunned, struggling to grasp the significance behind Mr. 182's words. Mr. 182 turns around, sarcastically remarking that since Dante Kong is a teacher, he should be able to figure that out for himself. Mr. 182 snaps at Dante Kong, demanding he keep quiet because his voice is too noisy. The area falls back into silence, with only the harsh sunlight beating down on the wreckage. Heavy footsteps echo. Dante Kong seems to have run out of energy to keep going. Dante Kong collapses to the ground, complaining of hunger and begging for a break. Dante Kong tiredly asks about the distance to the exit gate, feeling as though they've just been walking in circles. Mr. 182 nonchalantly admits that he has no idea where the exit gate is either. Dante Kong screams in shock, unable to accept that all their effort has been in vain. Dante Kong lies flat on the ground, threatening not to move another inch unless he is fed. Dante Kong and Mr. 182 both collapse, the tension spikes after their outburst. Dante Kong stares in confusion as Mr. 182 begins doing something strange on the ground. Dante Kong tries to call out to Mr. 182, curious about his abnormal behavior. Dante Kong peers at the ground as something seems to have caught his attention. Dante Kong's eyes widen, stunned by the scene unfolding before him. The sight leaves Dante Kong horrified. Mr. 182 lies there, motionless with shallow, weak breathing. Dante Kong panics, slapping Mr. 182's face repeatedly, screaming in despair when he receives no response. Dante Kong turns his head, his eyes filled with sheer terror as he stares into the empty space around them. Amidst the ruins, Dante Kong slumps down next to Mr. 182, pleading in his utter isolation. The fear of being left alone causes Dante Kong to lose control, and he begins frantically shaking Mr. 182's body. Unable to accept reality, Dante Kong screams, urging the unconscious Mr. 182 to wake up. In a moment of pure desperation, Dante Kong lets out a loud cry for help, the sound echoing through the stillness. Suddenly, a massive shadow looms over Dante Kong, casting a terrifying pressure. Dante Kong is frozen, his eyes glowing with high alert as he spots the spiky-haired prisoner who just appeared. The spiky-haired prisoner steps forward, blocking the light, and looks down at Dante Kong with curiosity. Dante Kong's eyes widen, his pupils contracting as he realizes there is something different about the spiky-haired prisoner. The spiky-haired prisoner leans down, reaches out to touch Dante Kong's face, and exclaims in surprise at his appearance. Dante Kong backed away in bewilderment, desperately trying to keep his distance from the spiky-haired prisoner. The spiky-haired prisoner offered a friendly smile, explaining that he only came over because he heard Dante Kong screaming. A corner of the rundown kitchen came into view, where old, abandoned cooking equipment lay scattered about. Dante Kong was ravenously devouring his food, his hunger so intense that he had become completely oblivious to his surroundings. The spiky-haired prisoner calmly reminded Dante Kong to slow down to avoid choking. Another prisoner sitting next to the spiky-haired one reassured Dante Kong that there was plenty of food to go around. Dante Kong felt grateful for their kindness. He had finally found a glimmer of humanity in this hellhole. The spiky-haired prisoner introduced himself while his companion also spoke up. Dante Kong replied, feeling a sense of relief to finally have a normal conversation with someone here. Dante Kong was surprised to realize that the spiky-haired prisoner's companion was a woman, a rare sight in this place. The woman laughed at Dante Kong's reaction while the spiky-haired prisoner teased him for his confusion. The woman explained that she kept her hair short to avoid unnecessary trouble in this village. The spiky-haired prisoner shared that they hailed from the inner zone where the very concept of towns or villages no longer existed. Dante Kong grew curious about the central region while the spiky-haired prisoner explained the grim reality of the outcasts living there. The spiky-haired prisoner asked Dante Kong if he had learned how to use the mist yet. Dante Kong hesitated before revealing that he wasn't actually a real prisoner. Dante Kong confessed that he had been kidnapped and brought to this godforsaken place. Dante Kong pointed towards the unconscious Mr. 182, the one responsible for everything that had happened. Dante Kong was stunned upon hearing the details of his kidnapping into the Mistland. He could only nod in disbelief. The spiky-haired prisoner pointed at Dante Kong in shock, unable to believe that the person before him was one of the kidnapped victims. Dante Kong broke into a cold sweat, not expecting the person in front of him to know so much about the situation. The spiky-haired prisoner explained that everyone knew about it, the powers that be had orchestrated it all to monopolize the classes. The spiky-haired prisoner looked at Dante Kong in astonishment while Dante Kong hurriedly denied being a spy. The conversation turned tense as they began to question the true identity of the person who had kidnapped Dante Kong. Looking at the unconscious Mr. 182, they began to realize that he was nothing like the typical kidnappers. Dante Kong couldn't help but laugh, revealing the ridiculous reason for his kidnapping. He had been abducted just for learning how to grow sweet potatoes. Facing such an absurd truth, those around them couldn't hold back their laughter, creating a bizarre and ironic scene. Dante Kong laughed until he cried, feeling that the irony of the situation was nothing short of a dark comedy. The spiky-haired prisoner curiously asked if Dante Kong was being held captive, only to be told that he was actually using Mr. 182 as a bodyguard. Dante Kong explained that Mr. 182 had suddenly passed out, likely from heatstroke. The spiky-haired prisoner immediately denied this, asserting that Mr. 182 was in a state of limbo between life and death. Dante Kong was stunned to learn it was a symptom of mist withdrawal, a dangerous state for anyone in this place. They looked at the people lying listlessly on the streets, those suffering from a lack of mist and slowly sinking into that liminal state. The spiky-haired prisoner warned that even if they wake up, experiencing this state too often would cause permanent brain damage. Dante Kong gravely asked about the true nature of this mist. Dante Kong and the spiky-haired prisoner fell silent, the air growing heavy with the mysteries they had just begun to uncover. The spiky-haired prisoner eyed Dante Kong, realizing he was completely clueless about the mist land. The spiky-haired prisoner explained that it was a substance gifted by the god of talents. Dante Kong couldn't believe his ears upon hearing about its ability to awaken hidden talents or enhance skills. The spiky-haired prisoner insisted it was true, that substance helped people surpass all natural limits. The spiky-haired prisoner proudly flexes his enhanced muscles, demonstrating the overwhelming power granted by this serum. Dante Kong is stunned to realize that the ultimate purpose of using such power is to break out of prison. A powerful thud echoes, and the air in the cell changes abruptly. Underneath the prisoner's uniform, a terrifying tattoo emerges, signaling the rise of an evil entity. A creaking sound resonates through the dark room, and a long shadow cast upon the floor signals that the enemy has arrived. The stranger sniffs the air, coldly declaring that his target cannot escape. The Bone Eater appears with a grotesque appearance, gripping a piece of a corpse drenched in strawberry syrup. The terrifying face of the Bone Eater emerges from the darkness, ready for a massacre. Dante Kong stands in the pitch-black space where prisoners with soulless eyes begin to reveal themselves, filled with murderous intent. The spiky-haired prisoner looks ahead, signaling the other inmates to prepare for a surprise attack. Mr. 182 lunges into the crowd of prisoners, sowing terror throughout the dungeon. Amidst the suffocating confines of the prison, Eugene, Gale, and Yun are plotting a daring escape, determined to use their powers to break free. Dante Kong stands stunned, his eyes wide with astonishment at the insane proposal he has just heard. Yun turns to look at Dante Kong, not hesitating to invite him to join their escape mission. Dante Kong tactfully declines, asserting that he is an innocent civilian and plans to resolve everything through proper diplomatic channels. Dante Kong tightens his grip on his shackles. He knows full well that if he gets involved in this prison break, he'll be no better than a common criminal. A haunting scene of failure flashes through his mind, where escapees pay for their freedom with their lives under a hail of gunfire. Yun replies coldly, asserting that Dante Kong will never have the chance to see those prison guards ever again. Yun's gaze turns sharp and icy, crushing all of Dante Kang's naive hopes of relying on the prison authorities. Dante Kong is horrified to hear Yun declare that this mist-covered land is a place where no one ever wants to set foot. Eugene Gale explains with grim seriousness the danger of the mist, a force that has turned this place into an inescapable addiction. Dante Kong panics, unable to believe he has been dragged into this whirlpool of addiction without ever having actively touched the mist. Yun responds coldly, insisting that Dante Kang's willpower means nothing once the mist has enveloped everything. The thick mist shrouds the area, carrying deadly particles that are slowly invading the human body. Dante Kong is struck with extreme terror, realizing the brutal truth that is slowly consuming him from within. The mist is likened to a gift from the gods, a substance that awakens the latent potential within every person. However, the price is steep, as the accumulation of these mist particles turns anyone into an addict. Those who cannot withstand the torment of the addiction gradually lose their sanity, spiraling into madness within the fog. The mist spreads unceasingly, circling every corner and dragging humanity down into depravity. Yun warns of the existence of a limbo state, a place reserved for those who lack the capacity to harness the mist. Dante Kong trembles, beginning to doubt whether he himself has become an addict without even realizing it. Panic surges as Dante Kong gasps for air, feeling as though he has been completely cornered. Yun reassures Dante Kong, insisting that he still has a slim chance to turn the situation around. Experiencing that limbo state for the first time is the telltale sign that the addiction has truly taken hold. Yun emphasizes that Dante Kong doesn't have much time left, though everyone's tolerance levels differ. Dante Kong anxiously asks about their fate, questioning whether the prison break is truly safe. Dante Kong bitterly admits the truth that all of them have already been manipulated by this mist. Eugene Gale smiles, reminding him that, until now, no one has ever survived leaving this place. Dante Kong still clings to the hope that researchers will find an antidote if they disclose the symptoms they are experiencing. Eugene Gale and Yun recall their shared promise never to let themselves die in this land of mist. The dream of a free blue sky is the only motivation that helps them keep fighting and stay together. Perhaps their actions seem silly and cheesy. But in those eyes, they are completely serious about what they are doing. They are absolutely not joking around at all. A piercing scream echoes out, shattering the silence and leaving Dante Kong, Yun, and Eugene Gale shaken. Disaster strikes. Yun wakes up from her sleep. Dante Kong has no more time to waste. Dante Kong wonders if he reveals the escape plan, will Yun go berserk and attack him? Fear surges, will Yun try to kill him on the spot? Dante Kong rummages through his belongings, trying to keep his composure. Yun asks about the sunlight, while Dante Kong can only stutter in absolute terror. Dante Kong exclaims in deep anxiety. Yun stares straight at Dante Kong, questioning the fear clearly etched on his face. Yun arrogantly dismisses the target as a weakling, claiming even Dante Kong could take him down. Dante Kong sighs in relief, yet remains worried about the safety of his teammates. A powerful kick tears through the air. The sound of the wind whistles with a menacing tone. The attack strikes right before his eyes, leaving Dante Kong shaken. Yun coldly declares that they could finish Dante Kong off right here. Dante Kong is stunned, scrambling to prevent such a reckless act. A shout rings out in protest, and another attack suddenly strikes. Yun steps forward, asserting that killing him is unnecessary. Yun coldly informs everyone that they are leaving this place. Yun looks directly at Dante Kong, affirming they have no intention of continuing to live here. It's time for everyone to go their separate ways. Yun suddenly asks about the sweet potato, leaving Dante Kong bewildered. In a flash, Yun snatches the sweet potato. Yun nonchalantly says they will borrow a cup and use some water. Yun hands the sweet potato, now placed in a cup of water, to Dante Kong. Yun explains that sweet potatoes will grow if kept in water, but of course they still need sunlight. Yun urges Dante Kong to quickly take it outside to catch some sun before sunset. Dante Kong faces a stalemate. He bluntly refuses, stating that he himself has no idea where the exit lies. Eugene Gale screams in panic, urging the team to get Dante Kong out of here immediately. Regardless of the consequences of being shot down or charged as accomplices, they are determined to stake everything on this crazy plan. Crucial evidence falls to the ground, creating a loud noise in the quiet space. The object rolls across the cracked floor, leaving a long trail of liquid behind. Dante Kong collapses on the floor, surrounded by signs of a struggle that just took place. Dante Kong's gaze is contemplative, as if he is calculating something dangerous. The evidence lies there, abandoned, a testament to the desperate effort just made. Dante Kong's eyes flash with a cold light, his concentration reaching its peak. In the dimly lit room, they sit in front of a static-filled TV, and Eugene Gale softly asks about another choice. Eugene Gale calmly compares them, suggesting that a puppy is just another animal, much like a crow. With an excited expression, Eugene Gale incessantly praises their cuteness and ability to understand. A hand rests on Dante Kang's head as he makes an emotional decision to adopt a puppy. It is a promise for the future, a flicker of hope as the day they escape this place draws near. Dante Kong gives a brief order, demanding Eugene Gale to come closer. A measuring tape is pulled taut, the 8-inch mark is clearly visible. Yun confirms the distance moved while Eugene Gale doubts whether it has truly changed. A fool has paid a heavy price for their actions. A blood-stained hand clenches tight, the remnants of an unfortunate soul. A horrific sight emerges, a grotesque entity sits enthroned amidst the wreckage. Onanare rang kudu chukchan de ko gang tim wa kech de thod koyin outanai. A fist slams against the iron wall, the thunderous sound echoing through this dungeon, signaling total desperation. Dante Kong turns back, his gaze stern as he asks Yun about their escape plan from this place. Yun says nothing, he lowers his center of gravity, preparing to unleash his unique ability. The muscles in Yun's legs tense up, coiling with explosive power in an instant. A terrifying leap shakes the ground, and Yun shoots upward like an arrow. The force of Yun's jump causes the ground to crack, creating a massive tremor. Dante Kong is completely astounded by Yun's extraordinary power, unable to believe his own eyes. The sturdy wall is shattered completely, proving Yun's phenomenal jumping prowess. Yun lands with a confident smile, ready to lead the group forward. Dante Kong immediately understands the plan, they will break through this wall together in search of freedom. Dante Kong and Yun move forward together, heading toward unexplored territories. With just a light touch, Dante Kong begins to meticulously observe his surroundings. Dante Kang's eyes brighten as his special ability activates, scanning and mapping the entire terrain. The pen in Dante Kang's hand moves swiftly across the paper, sketching out the path in detail. The map takes shape with astonishing accuracy, leaving Yun deeply impressed. Dante Kong explains his special ability, the tool that allows them to grasp the structure of this world. Despite the detailed map, Dante Kong humbly admits that it is only a small fraction of this misty land. The vastness of this world goes far beyond what Dante Kong and his companions had ever imagined. Dante Kong confirms that they have come a long way from the central area. Dante Kong suddenly reminds Yun of a crucial detail missing from the map. Strange symbols appear. Dante Kong is carefully marking the locations of the wanderers. Yun stops Dante Kong, not wanting him to clutter the map with distracting marks. Dante Kong firmly points out the potential danger, insisting it is something they must be extremely wary of. Dante Kang's face tightens, the tension evident in every expression as he faces the danger. Silence falls, and a bad premonition about the enemy washes over Dante Kong and the group. Dante Kong brushes off his worries, urging Yun to keep moving because freedom is right within their reach. Dante Kong grabs his companion's hand, a determined gesture before making their escape jump. The group surges forward, a powerful leap carrying Dante Kong and Yun away from their original position. In a secluded corner, Kamjiu and Yuru gather, conspiring to wait for their prey to fall into the trap. The icy glares of Kamjiu and Yuru are fixed on the mist where Dante Kong is approaching. The eyes of the prisoners glow with an eerie white light, as if they can sense the presence of the mysterious figure within the thick fog. The mysterious figure appears, confronting the prisoners who are growling with menace. The mysterious figure does not flinch, retorting with a sarcastic tone that challenges those looking for a fight. Unable to keep his cool, Yuru lands a thunderous blow on the mysterious figure, making the very air around them feel like it's exploding. Driven by insane hunger, Yuru loses all patience, unleashing a relentless barrage of attacks toward the mysterious figure. Yuru steps out from the shadows, eyeing the mysterious figure with a ravenous gaze, treating them like a tasty morsel to satisfy his hunger. Yuru casually mentions the cruelty of the bone hunter, viewing cannibalism as the fastest way to absorb the mist. Despite his comrade's savagery, Yuru tries to hold on to a shred of humanity, speaking out to stop this bloody hunt. The mysterious figure is not afraid, gently picking up a spoon, ready for a brutal counterattack. Yuru breaks into a terrifying grin, debating whether to slit the throat or gouge out the eyes of the mysterious figure. Before he could finish his words, Yuru lunged forward with terrifying speed, determined to carry out his ruthless intent. Unexpectedly, Rakma unleashed a lightning-fast counterattack, stopping Yuru's strike right in the nick of time. The massive impact sent the surrounding goons flying, causing the very space around them to shake violently. Everything fell silent for a brief moment, with only heavy, ragged breathing echoing amidst the debris. Yuru clutched his ear as blood gushed out. He was left in shock, unable to comprehend what had just happened. A part of his eardrum had been shattered, and the excruciating pain forced Yuru to scream in desperation. The prisoners witnessed the horrific scene, trembling as they realized the true extent of Rakma's power. Rakma's mere presence struck terror into the crowd, and they shivered while calling out his name. Panic took hold, and the prisoners trampled over each other, desperately trying to flee from Rakma's onslaught. In the blink of an eye, Rakma closed in on Yuru, exerting immense pressure on the wounded mysterious man. Rakma whispered coldly, declaring that the moment of destiny had arrived for anyone daring enough to challenge him. The mysterious man struggled to stand, flashing a look of contempt at Rakma even while backed into a corner. Gunshots echoed through the air as the scene descended into chaos filled with blood and blood-curdling screams. Rakma unleashed a punch that shattered all defenses. His brutal power rendered any resistance utterly meaningless. Each step Rakma took toward his target spread a sense of overwhelming dread. Rakma stood towering over the body of Dante Kong, embodying the authoritative aura of a victor. Rakma coldly grabbed Dante Kong by the collar, ending all resistance with his overwhelming strength. Victory was firmly in Rakma's hands, and Yuru finally had to bow before Rakma's might. Rakma quickly departed, leaving the prisoners to continue their fight with the guards, completely unaware of Dante Kang's demise. The prisoners remained submerged in chaos, none of them knowing the whereabouts of their teacher. Fury flared up as Dante Kong recalled the moment Kamjiu heartlessly used his own comrades as human shields. Rakma gritted his teeth, declaring an absolute end to this alliance with Kamjiu. Rakma's gaze turned cold and sharp, stunned by an unexpected development. Amidst the wreckage, Yan lunged forward, blocking Dante Kang's path. Rakma didn't flinch, bluntly demanding the identity of this mysterious figure. Rakma coldly assessed the stranger, guessing that he belonged to either Kamjiu or Yuru's faction. In a split second, the mysterious man pulled an object from his pocket. Rakma was stunned at the sight of the object in the stranger's hand, a ridiculous misunderstanding regarding a bizarre weapon. Rakma snarled, challenging the stranger to answer for this confusing behavior. The mysterious man, showing no fear, suggested that Rakma go ask the absent teacher himself. Rakma's patience had run out, his fury erupted into a stern warning directed at the stranger. Rakma clenched his fist, preparing for an inevitable clash with the mysterious man. Rakma delivered a thunderous kick, the impact seemingly shaking the very space around his opponent. Rakma roared, pouring all his pent-up frustration into a powerful punch aimed straight at the stranger. Rakma's fist flew with wind-tearing speed, determined to finish off the mysterious man. The stranger was struck, his face contorting in extreme agony. A powerful gust of wind swept through, pushing everything nearby back after the collision of the two men. Rakma continued his pursuit, unleashing a barrage of strikes that left the stranger unable to retaliate. Rakma was stunned to realize something unusual during his exchange with the mysterious man. The mysterious figure remains persistent, his eyes flashing with fierce resistance. In the heat of the clash, the sweet potato in the mysterious figure's hand is suddenly snatched away by Rakma. Rakma's fatal blow lands, leaving the mysterious figure dazed and collapsing to the ground. The mysterious figure's body slumps to the floor, putting an end to his feeble resistance. Rakma Kong stares down at the mysterious figure, his eyes burning with killing intent. The mysterious figure spins through the air, completely overpowered by Rakma's raw physical strength. Rakma growls, mockingly labeling the mysterious figure as nothing more than a petty thief. Not stopping there, Rakma issues a threat, forcing the mysterious figure to reveal the whereabouts of his master. The violent yank left the victim with no chance to retaliate. Rakma smirked, his eyes filled with mockery as he looked down at Casper lying at his feet. Casper maintained a blank expression, indifferent to the insults spat at him by Rakma. Rakma leaned down, demanding that Casper reveal the whereabouts of the so-called mist. D.'s memorial photo placed beside a beer can served as a painful reminder of his gruesome death. D. The former deputy commander of Hound, was now nothing more than a name from the past. A cold, chilling count rang out, signaling the start of the torture session. The bullying prisoner relentlessly began snapping Casper's fingers one by one. A crisp bone-snapping sound echoed through the room, marking the end of the third finger. Rakma stared at Casper's battered body with utter contempt. The bully roared, threatening to torment Casper until he was unable to walk ever again. Casper still wheezed out his terms for the trade, despite the agony overwhelming him. Losing patience, the bully ordered his men to continue breaking the remaining fingers. The cruel bully ruthlessly ordered them to shift the focus of the torture to his toes. The brutal torture continued, with Casper writhing in excruciating pain. Rakma sat watching from afar, wondering if Casper was even capable of feeling pain at all. Hound crossed his arms with authority, issuing an absolute order: no mist was to be provided to Casper. The bully didn't hesitate to carry out his threats, pushing Casper into a dead end. Rakma posed a skeptical question regarding the true nature of the Casper they were facing. Rakma's gaze was fixed intently on Casper's gaunt body lying on the floor. Casper's physique clearly showed evidence of training pushed to the absolute limit. The bully sneered, remarking that such muscular perfection only served to make Casper suffer more. Rakma fell into deep thought, realizing that Casper seemed entirely oblivious to the sensation of pain. Hound expressed concern that others were targeting their mutual objective. Rakma reproached Hound for recklessly breaking their alliance. Hound asserted that killing that man would be a fatal mistake. Hound coldly declared that the man must pay in blood for killing their brothers. Hound tried to intervene, reminding them of the necessity of the mist. Hound slammed his fist onto the table, cutting Rakma off mid-sentence. Rakma stood up, his eyes filled with determination as if he had made his final decision. Rakma placed the beer can on the table, turning his gaze toward his fallen comrade's memorial photo, whispering about a reunion in the afterlife. Rakma raised his beer can, offering a respectful farewell to D. Rakma and his comrades raised their cans in unison, the room filled with a heavy, stifling silence. One member couldn't hold back his emotions and wiped away a tear, while Rakma maintained a cold, troubled expression. Suddenly, Rakma spat out a mouthful of beer, his body trembling violently. Splashes of beer flew everywhere, staining D.'s portrait. Rakma's violent coughing fit startled everyone around him, causing them to turn back in alarm. Rakma braced himself against the sudden pain in his chest, trying to reassure everyone that he had just choked on his beer. Memories flooded back. Rakma recalled the moment when he took a heavy, lethal strike right to his ribs. The old pain resurfaced and Rakma gripped the beer can tightly, gritting his teeth to suppress the dull ache in his liver. Casper lies slumped on the ground, a crushed beer can rolling nearby, his eyes vacant and lifeless. Casper looks up, his cold, shark gaze fixed on Rakma with latent defiance. Rakma pins Casper to the floor, asserting that his previous strike wasn't just luck but a display of master-tier skill. Rakma coldly analyzes the move, identifying it as the brutal combat technique of Krav Maga. Casper lies there, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, wheezing out a confirmation. Rakma nudges Casper with the tip of his shoe, as if appraising a piece of merchandise. Rakma leans down, staring intensely at Casper as he demands to know his background. Yun and Yun's friends stand frozen, stunned by what they have just witnessed. The group moves quietly through the desolate area, heading towards the distance. Dante Kong freezes, his eyes widening behind his glasses as he spots the target ahead. The emergency exit appears, stained and covered in blood, like an ominous warning. Dante Kong's friend jerks him back, stopping his reckless move before it's too late. Dante Kong and his friend hide behind a wall, peering forward with expressions full of anxiety. A sturdy guard tower looms ahead. Dante Kong holds his breath as he observes. The lights from the guard tower remain on, raising the question of whether someone is keeping watch inside. Dante Kong and his friend suggest splitting up here, fearing the presence of guards. Dante Kong's friend strongly opposes this, claiming that attempting to approach the gate is suicide. The warning about lurking snipers leaves Yun and Yun's friend trembling with fear. Casper's gaze meets Yun's friends, with fear clearly etched upon their faces. Dante Kong observes silently, suspicion surging within his mind. A figure suddenly emerges from the ground, leaving the surrounding prisoners in shock. Dante Kong and his friend are stunned by this sudden appearance, even going so far as to mock the stranger's appearance. Offended by the rude remarks, the stranger instantly flares with rage, his eyes glowing with a menacing light. He bellows in fury, demanding that Yun and Yun's friend retract their words immediately. Dante Kong suddenly recognizes the person before him. Memories of an old acquaintance rush back, leaving him stunned. Dante Kong's friend immediately identifies the true identity of the person standing before them. The truth is revealed. This individual is one of the members belonging to the villain faction. Dante Kong can't believe his eyes, doubt and suspicion clouding his mind. Meanwhile, Casper leads the group of prisoners, their footsteps quickening across the ground. Dante Kong focuses his gaze, his sharp eyes piercing through his glasses, alert to every movement from the opponent. Traffic cones are sent flying, creating harsh, clattering sounds that echo throughout the area. Chaos spreads as the prisoners move continuously, sweeping aside every obstacle in their path. The entire area is plunged into darkness, where destruction spreads with every step taken by those in the fray. The mysterious villain launches himself into the air, showcasing his formidable power. He confidently asserts his status, claiming to be the one closest to the throne of supreme leadership. He stares directly at Dante Kong, calling him teacher and reaching out a hand in a gesture filled with hidden intent. He coldly orders Dante Kong to follow him, allowing for no resistance whatsoever. A surprise attack strikes, causing the space around them to shake violently. Casper doesn't hesitate, unleashing a thunderous kick aimed straight at the villain to protect Dante Kong. Casper firmly declares that Dante Kong is coming with them, blocking the villain's intentions. With a full-force kick that tore through the air, Yun lunged straight at the target. Yun landed a precise kick square on Glick's face, creating a crisp, bone-jarring sound of impact that echoed throughout the prison. Yun growled with fierce determination, refusing to leave and abandon their master. Glick was sent flying back with brute force, slamming into the plastic training cones scattered across the arena floor. Glick roared, eyes blazing with killing intent, and demanded to know the identity of the one who dared to strike him. Yun coldly ordered Dante Kong to stay out of it, insisting that it was Yun who had engaged Glick first. Glick sneered in contempt, looking down on Yun for daring to challenge his dominance. Glick moved at blinding speed, leaving trails of wind in his wake with every step. Not giving Yun a moment to react, Glick pivoted, preparing to unleash a brutal counterattack. Glick transformed into a muscular whirlwind, sweeping everything in his path. Panicked, Dante Kong scrambled backward, desperately trying to avoid the shockwaves from Glick's attack. Glick stomped down with terrifying force, causing the floor to crack wide open. Feeling the immense pressure, Dante Kong gasped in horror as he saw Glick charging toward him. The cracks in the floor spiderwebbed outward, signaling the destructive power of Glick. Glick launched a direct strike, obliterating every obstacle in his path. Glick let out a wicked laugh. He had been waiting for this pounce for a long time. Shards of debris from the floor flew wildly through the air. Yun stomped hard, channeling explosive power to counter Glick. Glick mockingly belittled Yun's speed, even as Yun's attack closed in. Yun stomped repeatedly, creating small explosions beneath their feet to propel themselves forward at high speed. Under the overwhelming pressure, Yun couldn't help but scream as they poured every ounce of strength into the blow. The ground trembled violently under the sheer intensity of the clash. Yun seized the moment, spotting a flaw in Glick's defense. Yun launched the finishing move, swinging a fist with terrifying power. The impact of Yun's punch created a massive shockwave, clearing all the dust in the vicinity. Glick was sent reeling, slamming into the floor with a deafening crash. Dante Kong cried out Yun's name in shock, stunned after witnessing such a monstrous strike. Slick stood dazed, suddenly hearing a woman's voice ringing out amidst the battle. Dante Kong stood frozen, covering his mouth in disbelief as he realized a woman was present in the prison. Slick was completely dumbfounded, staring at the collapsed Glick, unable to believe his eyes. The secret was exposed. As Yun was restrained by others, the truth about their gender left everyone in utter shock. Yun struggled desperately against the swarm of prisoners. One of them nervously asked their superior whether they should keep Yun or not. Glick lay slumped amidst the rubble. He blamed himself for letting things come to this. Glick braced himself, struggling in pain as he tried to put a stop to the scene before him. Glick's hand tightened around a piece of stone, his raw physical strength causing the ground beneath him to fracture. Without a hint of hesitation, Glick unleashed a powerful strike, crashing straight into those who were restraining Yun. The surprise attack left the prisoners stunned, and Yun stared in disbelief as Glick stepped in to rescue them. Glick panted, his breaths heavy and ragged after triggering such an attack. Glick roared, unleashing a barrage of attacks. Flying stone fragments created an overwhelming pressure. Glick's strike landed true, sending his opponent flying and leaving the remaining ones in total disarray. Glick grips the stone shard tightly, his gaze unwavering and resolute. Yun screams out, trying to pull Glick back from his state of losing control. Glick instantly seizes the opportunity, and together they flee from their pursuers. Witnessing Glick's immense strength, his opponent cannot help but voice his admiration. Glick tenses up, his eyes burning with the determination to fight to the bitter end. The enemy's eyes widen in shock at the overwhelming pressure radiating from Glick. With a sudden jolt, Glick lunges forward at a terrifying speed. Glick delivers a crushing blow to the ground, shaking the entire space around them. The strike flashes by like lightning, leaving nothing but blurred trails in the air. The impact creates a shockwave, demonstrating the sheer, overwhelming power of Glick. Glick seizes the moment, launching a lightning-fast counterattack before his opponent can react. The powerful collision sends the opponent crashing to the floor, shaking the whole room. The opponent is stunned, unable to believe the level of power Glick just unleashed. Glick pivots, delivering a finishing blow with devastating force. The strike lands true, and the opponent screams in agony as they are completely defeated. In the training room, Slick watches Glick with a gaze full of suspicion. Slick approaches and questions Glick about his past after witnessing that performance. Glick responds coldly, admitting that he was once a true warrior. Glick stands up, his aura so imposing that Slick is forced to tread carefully. Glick commands Slick, the real battle has only just begun. Glick sternly orders his underlings, making it clear he will not tolerate any slip-ups in this plan. The heavy iron door slams shut, signaling an inevitable confrontation. Glick shows clear irritation, cursing as he realizes things aren't going according to plan. Glick berates Slick, asserting his dominant position and refusing to let anyone interfere with his work. Glick doesn't hesitate to insult his opponent, claiming the man lacks the caliber to be a leader. Glick sarcastically questions the leader's competence, believing that power is the only thing that truly matters. Glick turns his attention toward Dante Kong, realizing that Dante Kong's abilities could be a useful asset. Glick continues to manipulate his cohorts, claiming that anyone has potential if they know how to utilize it. The tension in the room becomes suffocating, with everyone standing by in silence under Glick's pressure. Glick turns to interrogate Slick, forcing him to reveal his true thoughts. Glick smiles smugly, convinced he is becoming sharper while mocking the stupidity of his opponents. Glick dismisses brute force combat, declaring this to be an era of intelligence and calculation. Glick is determined to track down his master, a key objective in his dark scheme. Glick stealthily rummages through something, refusing to share these precious resources with anyone. Glick coldly delivers an ultimatum to his cohorts, demanding they make their own choices. Glick completely overwhelms his opponent, pinning Morin under his foot in a humiliating display. Glick looks down at Morin with contempt, taking pleasure in Morin's desperation. In Glick's hand is a glowing energy orb, the very item Morin is desperately craving. Morin is gasping for air, yet he cannot take his eyes off the power held by Glick. Morin is tossed directly into the dark tunnel, the beginning of the living hell that Glick has orchestrated. Morin collapses onto the filthy dirt floor, surrounded by a suffocating darkness that engulfs the space. Slick appears, staring down at Morin with a twisted grin, welcoming him into his domain. Morin looks up, fear etched across his face as he realizes he has fallen into a trap. Slick spreads his arms wide, welcoming Morin to the underground kingdom where he reigns supreme. Glick lays out his terms, demanding that Morin work for him in exchange for information about his master. Glick entices Morin with energy, promising him a future where he will never be lacking in power. Glick offers Morin no other chances. This is the only deal he is willing to make. Morin swallows hard. The temptation of power causes his resolve to waver before this deadly trap. Unable to resist, Morin lunges for the energy orb, willing to sacrifice everything to attain power in an instant.